Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar in which Ian and I will be discussing business relationships with the media as we adapt to the new norm which we're operating in. My name's Stella, I'm an account executive here at Lislean PR. We are a non-sector specific communications agency that supports a range of clients across the South in building and protecting their relationships and connecting them with their audiences. I'm joined today by one of our senior advisors, Ian Murray. Ian is Executive Director of the Society of Editors and is Vice Chair of the UK's Defence and Security Media Advisor Committee. Hello, Ian.
Hello.
How are you doing today? You okay?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine. Yes, getting used to, as you say, the new norm.
It's a hard one to adapt to, isn't it?
Yes.
Difficult one. So just as a bit of background, we at Lislean PR work closely with Ian, often getting him to consult on a variety of our projects. So arguably at the moment, communication has never been more important given the current health crisis which we find ourselves in. I mean, from checking in with family and friends via FaceTime to our daily government briefing, we are just adjusting, as Ian mentioned, to the new normal of our lives. And we know that people are in their homes consuming a high amount of information daily, and therefore argumentatively media and communication have never been more important. However, it is undeniable that at the moment, the media, like many other industries, have also been hugely hit by the pandemic. So if it's okay with you, Ian, if we could start there and just talk briefly about how the media has been impacted to date by COVID-19. I know we've got a few slides prepared to help us kind of go through this, which will be on the screen. So yeah, if we could start there, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks very much. And yes, the media has been affected very much. Everyone's been affected, of course, by this. And the media, though, falls into one of those categories where it's in a position where its role has, it's a cliche to say, never been more important than before, but it's certainly extremely important. Keeping everyone informed as to what is going on, trying to play its part in ensuring that it separates the wheat from the chaff, the conjecture, the speculation, bringing facts that are there, holding those in authority to account and saying, well, why are you making us doing this? Why is this going to happen? Why hasn't that happened? Playing that part in balancing between being part of the solution and not part of the problem, all those kind of things going forward in that way, keeping people connected through news in their communities. It's not just all about COVID-19, but obviously that's the most important thing on everyone's minds at the moment. And so that vital important role, but as with many other, of course, areas, it's been affected in that its revenue has been seriously damaged. Income for broadcasting only announced today, something like 40% down. It's probably far worse than that for newspapers at the moment. They're also seeing a huge reduction in their sales, and therefore pennies going over the counter in that way. So it's dealing with, we've got a lot of staff in the industry on furlough, but still having to carry out those vital roles. So it's been challenging for the newspaper industry, and at the same time there has been quite a lot of focus on, has the newspaper industry, has the broadcast industry, has the news media industry as a whole been playing the right role there? Can it be trusted going forward? So huge effect. 2,000 newspaper jobs have been affected. Those mostly are put on furlough. The Financial Times and Reach titles have hit record levels. On the other hand, of online audience. All news media have seen a massive hike in the number of people actually coming to them, which is great news in that one sense. But the other side, as I say, huge effect on the industry, and the news media industry, internationally has seen about 15 billion wiped off its value of the leading media companies, and I would say that easily 1 to 2 billion in this country has been seen to wipe off, and that is a big hole.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's such a difficult time, isn't it? Because a lot of industries are being affected like this, and media obviously isn't immune to that at all. But I guess, and it would be good to get your view on this, but from the flip side, from an agency point of view, we're kind of seeing with these changes, there's also real appetite for the positive news. I know that a lot of the clients I work across, the good news that they're kind of getting out there, it's being eaten up by a lot of our contacts in the media industry, which is obviously a positive thing, but then it's really difficult, obviously, like I said, with how many newspaper jobs have been affected in terms of this. It's a really difficult one, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Look, every newspaper editor, every news editor, every newsroom editor and a news editor, shall we say, doesn't have to be newspapers, knows that no matter what the crisis is, whether we've gone to war for some reason, whether there's a natural disaster, or whether in this case we've got a pandemic, something we've not lived through before, I think in really most of our lifetimes, then the public starts off by being extremely interested. It wants all the headlines, and it expects to get a lot of negative, very downbeat news, in a sense of quite concerning news. But then it goes through a phase where you get almost fatigue that fits in. The public still wants to know what's going on, but it wants to see behind the headlines, and it wants to not hear the same old, and it also wants positive news. It wants good news stories. It needs to be told that not everything is doom and gloom out there. It doesn't want stories made up. It doesn't want puffy stories, but it wants to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that we are rising to the challenge as a community. And that's why we've seen the public, of course, putting great store in applauding the NHS, care workers, essential workers, the folks out there ensuring that everyday life does manage to continue, and we are battling against this virus. And they've become our heroes, our local heroes, quite rightfully. Didn't we always know that they were, of course? And so it's all that positive news. And it's important for your clients, for organisations, for bodies, for companies to actually look for that and to say, well, look, we've got a good news story to tell. And the good news for you in that sense is that, as I was saying beforehand, newsrooms are stretched. They've got a lot of people on furlough. They haven't got the time because of lots of other news that's going on to do with COVID. If they can be presented with well thought out, factual news, yes, of course, they'll check it. Yes, of course, it needs to be balanced, but it stands a pretty good chance of being used at the moment.